Hey gorgeous artist friends, today I'm going to paint for you this lily in 5 minutes. Yes, just 5 minutes. I don't believe that we should be taking too long to paint loose florals because the longer we take, sometimes we give ourselves more time to think about where we've gone wrong or the mistakes we made or stuff that we want to keep correcting and overworking. So 5 minutes, I won't take any more of your time in this intro. Let's get right into this lily painting. Okay, so I have my Meaden 100% cotton paper, 10 by 7, and I have my size 12 Princeton Heritage round brush. All these can be found in the links in the description below if you're interested to purchase. And I'm using some dirty pink water, to first mark out these petal shapes. This lily has 5 petals, and I'm using the belly of the brush, I'm using the pointy bit of my brush, just mark out the first sort of underpainting, this layer, this very thin tea-like petals. If you want to have a look at the reference image, it's part of a Patreon perk that I have on my Patreon. So just $5 a month. All my tutorials starting from April this year will have a downloadable reference image if I'm doing a tutorial. So otherwise, it's just a classic lily, really. You can just follow along. I'm using a bit of green, so I think it's a green gold there, and pulling out a stem, touching those petals a tiny bit. So make sure that your brush isn't so wet, because the more water you have on your brush, the more bleeds will happen. So I am also just pulling out a little lily bud there with, as you can see, I still had a bit of green in my brush, and then I dabbed into the pink and very loosely pulling that out. And now pulling out some leaves there. If you find that I'm really going way too fast, please slow down the video. There is a half speed, or pause the video so that you can actually watch and paint at the same time. Apologies, my hand is blocking that leaf there, but really just pulling out some leaves and not being afraid to touch the petals a little bit so that some lovely bleeds can happen between the leaves and the flower. Also, I'm just pulling leaves to go over another leaf, so also don't be afraid to do that, to layer and to just have your leaves going in different directions, so it feels more like, natural looking. And just, putting another stronger green down there. And yeah, right now I'm using a much more saturated permanent rose, touching the middle, and while all my petals are still wet, I am dragging that across the 5 petals. Now it's important that the petals are wet so that you can do this nicely and not half dry. So really, that's the effect you want to get. It's a beautiful wet on wet technique that I love to do with my lilies, and a lot of other flowers you can do that too. So I'm now just darkening some of my leaves with a darker mix, which I like to add indigo into my Sap Green, and just use a variety of greens. I'm actually really not purposely painting this quickly. This is really the speed that I go at. But yeah, feel free to pause and just go a bit slower. So this is my first layer down. We need to just let it rest, let it dry, and then we'll come back to do the second layer. Okay, so I've waited a couple of minutes, or I think half an hour, and I'm mixing some burnt umber with Payne's Grey. And right now, with my base completely dry, I'm putting down these brown stamens using a smaller brush here. This is my size 4 Silver Black Velvet. And it really needs to be quite dark and saturated, this one here, to really get that, the contrast from the petals behind. Then using a yellow, I think it's a cadmium yellow I'm using, and I'm just connecting those stems to my stamens. And after that, I am grabbing some dark green, which I mix using indigo and sap green, to really go over the stems and the leaves one more time with a very simple, easy shadow. You don't even need to do this. You can just go over it. You can just create veins or whatever you like to just make the leaves and the stems pop a little bit more. So yeah, we're almost done there. Putting down the brush, and that's it. And that's it. That's my 5-minute lily painting. I hope you managed to do it in time and it didn't feel too rushed. Let me know in the comments below whether you feel like you want to paint faster or if speed is too difficult for you. I'd love to know because not everyone paints the same way. So this is my way of painting. I like to paint fast, so I hope you enjoy it too. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and consider joining my Patreon. It's really, really cool. I've got 2 different tiers and I call it the Uncomplicated Artist Movement on Patreon. And yeah, I'll find out more. I'll link it in the description below, and otherwise I'll see you in the next video. Happy painting, guys.